Group 1 racing at Doomben for the Doomben Cup. I'm Tom Haylock. This is Layback with Betfair, joined by Nick Lloyd and Trent Crebbin. Start with you, Trent. Welcome back. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, Tommy. Yeah. Into Queensland now, which is exciting. And we're looking like we might get a decent track at Doomben this week. So that's where we'll focus. But yeah, very excited to be back on the show.
The caravan rolls on, mate. The Group 1 racing continues. Welcome in, Nick Lloyd. How are you, mates?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, like Trent touched on, a bit of fine weather in the Sunshine State this week. So I potted the weather last week, and the weather gods have been good this week for a bit of Group 1 action. So hopefully that stays true. And yeah, we're on a good track for Doomben Cup Day.
Yeah, it is a bit rare because there's plenty of rain around, especially in Sydney. We've seen more abandonments and some heavy 10 tracks there. But soft 6 or better, Nick, at Doomben. What are you expecting?
I'll tip better. I'll say we get closer to a 4 than a 6, but probably unlikely that we get to a good track. But yeah, there's no rain forecast, and it's been sort of cool and windy as well in Brisbane the last week, so good drying conditions.
The reason I ask you is because Trent needs to get something off his chest, and it's time for the lay-bin. Great segue here, Trent, because track times, track ratings and programming is on your agenda.
Yeah, correct. So we're racing at Sandown Hillside tomorrow, and we raced there on Wednesday as well. And there was a bit of uproar from, I think it first started with a couple of jockeys saying that the track was too firm, and they upgraded it to a good 3 straight after race 1, which pretty much tells you that they thought it was a good 3 from the start, but they're not allowed to start on a good 3.
So that's in the lay-bin to start with?
Well, that's in the lay-bin as well. They do that. They do it at Moonee Valley every single week on a Friday during summer. I get that it's firm, but just start it on a good 3 then. Like, you don't need to upgrade it after one race, and everyone knows that it's going to be doing it anyway. Anyway, that's a different story. But the times at Sandown were completely fine. There was nothing that suggested that it was too firm. It was pretty much a good 4. They were running, standard times. Nothing out of the ordinary was happening, except maybe for the staying race. They ran a bit quick, but that's the only one that was a little bit of an outlier. So the main query is that why are they racing on a Wednesday on Sandown Hillside and then backing up onto a Saturday when you've got a bit of rain around, and they're probably going to water it now because it was apparently too firm. So you've got the Lakeside track sitting right there, and so many other tracks around Victoria that could run on the Wednesday if you're going to be going on Sandown on the Saturday. So it just gets in the track manager's head that they need to water it and need to fix it from Wednesday when you don't really need to. Just avoid it and just race somewhere else.
That's my biggest issue with this. We saw Kanga, and for all the good he's doing, and he's doing some great things in racing and for the MRC, but I didn't like it. I didn't like him getting out on Twitter and putting the track manager under the gun, and there wasn't anything wrong with the track. The track actually played really well at Sandown Wednesday, and he said the times were pretty good. So there's plenty of other times where the track is awful that he will need to complain and or own it, but yeah, I don't think that was the time. I think it was too quick to jump on it, Trent.
Yeah, agreed. The going that we've got at Racing Sports, which is measured against thousands of races and hundreds of meetings, the times were perfect. Like, that was a perfect track, what you wanted, except for that staying race, which was a little bit inside standard. But even still, that's not out of the ordinary. So, yep, there'll be plenty of other times that we'll complain about the tracks. This wasn't one of them. It didn't need to happen.
Yep, bizarre. Nico, what do you got for us, mate?
A little bit left field this week, Tommy. The Europa League final was on Thursday morning, Tottenham and Manchester United. And Tottenham, they got their first trophy in 17 years, but it was the winning goal that I'm putting in the lay bin, because if you've got a a monumental moment in your club's history to win your first trophy in such a long time. And officially, they gave it to Brennan Johnson, the goal, but I think everyone watching knew it was a handball own goal off Luke Shaw, off the Manchester United defender. So not exactly a screamer, to play back over the years when you're reflecting on your Europa League win. So yeah, that winning goal, it goes in the lay bin this week.
Well done to Ange as well on that, Nick. Good effort, good day for Australian sport. Well done to Ange. What happens with the punting there, Nick? Can you bet on own goal? Probably can.
Imagine you can. Yeah, I think you can. But see, I don't know, because officially they put it down that it wasn't an own goal. But I sort of
you'd be sick, wouldn't you?
You would be. You'd be on the floor, keeled over at 5:30 on a Thursday morning. So good way to start the day. But yeah, I don't know. Surely there'd be a bit of a justice refund.
Take the 500's own goal, and you You get stitched up like that. That'd be sick. My lay bin is a serious one, and I'm really pissed off that Trent laughed when I wrote this in the in the run sheet. Now I lost my wallet, guys. It's not good. This is a call to everyone in Victoria. If you've seen my wallet, please note I've cancelled all my cards. I have no money, so it's all good. But please return it to the police station or something like that. That'd be great. Trent, when I write that I've lost my wallet, please don't laugh. It hurts my feelings. It's not a no. What it actually is a absolute pain in the ass is updating all your cards. And I've got Uber accounts, Uber Eats, parking accounts, bills, everything attached to credit cards and stuff, and you got to redo them all. There should be a service. There's a business idea for you, Trent. Racing and sports wallet.
I'll speak to the high ups. We'll get it done, but I'll keep an eye out for you and try and make it up for laughing. Sorry about that.
Thank you, mate. All right, let's get to the serious stuff. I've got to make some money because I lost my money with my wallet. We had a good week last week. Nick, your hamburger got up. Well done.
Yeah, likewise, Tommy. Yours, there's a bit more bit more meat on the bone on yours, I think. Cabalist was, what was that? He was $14 or something early in the week.
That's why it pays to watch the show Thursday nights, because it started $5.50. Huge go, Cabalist, off the gelding. But yeah, that's the only reason why I said that off the top. I just wanted you to repay the favour and talk about how good I went last week, which was great. It was a handy week.
I was going to say, bad week to lose the wallet, mate.
I know. Lucky it's all digital. But yeah, we move on. It's a bit of a trickier meeting in my opinion, at Doomben. What do you make of the card, Nick?
Yeah, I like it. It's sort of it's one of those days, I guess, where there's a lot of like final lead ups into some bigger races. You've obviously got the Roses, which leads right into the Oaks in a fortnight. The BRC Sprint, that's one of your sort of key Stradbroke lead ups, ballot exemption to the winner. So there's a lot of races that we can sort of use on Saturday and take going forward, I think. It's a tricky little card. Last week there was sort of a few that I was keen to back around that $10, $12 mark and have a couple of bets in each race. But this week I found it pretty tricky to narrow it right down and find one even around that price. So I think we're playing towards the top of the market, and hopefully we get rewarded. But yeah, it's a tough day.
Yeah, I find these days with the fillies and mares pretty tough generally. They're pretty tricky races. But Trent, can I get your thoughts on the the Roses off that Australasian Oaks? Because I know you were pretty keen there, and a few horses come through that. But let's start with the Chief De Beers listed race 4 on the card. We're taking 4 or 5 races on the Doomben card. We'll start with race 4. Listed race over 1,110 metres. I've got Economics, the clear leader, Nick. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, I thought there probably wasn't a whole lot of tempo in it. You're going to have Economics go forward. You'll have King Kappa will be handy. Cannonball, the horse I like, he'll be in the first 3 or 4, I would imagine. But sort of the key chances in the market, like Spacewalk and Up and Girl, you'd expect they get right back and probably relying on a little bit of pressure early and get right into it. So yeah, not a whole lot of tempo in this, I don't think.
Throw to you, Trent. How have you read the Chief De Beers, the listed race?
Yeah, well, it's diving into some real typical Queensland horses, isn't it? These are not my usual suspects, but I guess up north that's the kind of races we're dealing with. But on the ratings, I've come up with King Kappa, who I thought was a bit over the odds here. Last start comes through that race won by Libertad, who was 100 to 1 or whatever, and got held up there. He didn't have much luck, so I can forgive that. The rating prior that he ran at Eagle Farm was really strong. That was an equal peak, and then a few back at Doomben as well. In February, won an open race and ran a good number as well there. That's kind of the equal peaks for a couple in this field. Cannonball's got one in there as well, and Spacewalk's just off that. But yeah, I thought King Kappa would be rolling forward here, like Nick said, and if he can kind of maybe settle outside leader or slot in 1-1, something like that, that looks good to me. And yeah, I give that last one, and he's a big price here. I thought he should be a bit closer in the market to some of these ones just above him.
Yeah, a few of these tie into each other, as you mentioned, Trent, with number 3 there, King Kappa. You gave a little bit of a preview to who you're tipping, Nick. Which way are you siding?
Yeah, well, I agree with Trent that King Kappa's over the odds. They're sort of the 2 horses that I want to be with here out of that Victory Stakes, King Kappa and Cannonball. thought Cannonball didn't have a whole lot of luck in that Victory Stakes. He was held up from about the 4 to the 2, and he copped a bit of a squeeze, and then he was good through the line. That was 1200, so he comes back to 1110 now, but I think that probably suits him. Smaller field, a little bit less depth, can settle further forward, gets Blake Shin. There's a few positives there. That Victory Stakes form's been good. Like, he finished alongside Rothfire, who just missed in the 10,000. Payline was in that race, ran third in the 10,000, and Elmore Zillow, she dropped back to her own age and out to 13.50, and she won last Saturday. So we can trust that form, I think, especially in a race like this. So Cannonball around that $7.50, $8 is around. I'm happy to have something on him.
Seems like you're both against Spacewalk at the price. Is that right? Just a bit of JMac tax?
Yeah, well, it's been, what's it been? It's been 79 or 80 weeks since his last win. I know he's raced well in that time, but geez, it becomes a little bit hard to trust, especially at, shopping $4 about him.
Yeah. I think you're both wrong with the winners. Sorry to tell you. I'm with number 7, Up and Girl, just different form lines. Now, as I said, a few of these tie in. You've got Spacewalk, King Kappa. King Kappa beat Spacewalk at Eagle Farm 2-back. Spacewalk continues to race well, obviously. Went to the takeover target and found the line well. J-Mac on. Cannonball and Atuno come through that same race as King Kappa and Spacewalk, and they were both really well beaten. In that Eagle Farm race at 1,000 metres, Cannonball started $20. Spacewalk and King Kappa started much shorter. So I found it really hard to get Cannonball down to that price, Nick. He's fine. He's racing okay. He was fine in both in that Victory Stakes, but I find it hard to dive into it at $7.50. And I'm with App and Girl. Flies fresh. She was She has beaten home King Kappa and Metal Art when they met in the past. She beat King Kappa back in January. Amazingly meets King Kappa 4.5 kilos from when they met in January for beating King Kappa home. So love the trial win. Flies fresh. Ticks all the boxes. She's I think she's a great bet there. One of my better bets on the program, App and Girl there. And I'm keen to lay Cannibal at that price. So might be my hamburger, Nick, and we might take each other on, which would be interesting.
We might. Looking at the run sheet, we might be taking each other on a little bit later in the program as well. So a few little side bets. I like it.
Might be a few hamburger bets ourselves. Let's get to race 7 on the card. Race 6 on the card. The Magic Millions Fillies and Mares Mile, Group 3, 1,600 metres. Trent, you've written NFI on your run sheet. I don't know whether I should throw to you first, but I agree with you. I've got absolutely no idea. Very tricky race. It's hard because the class horses at the top really aren't going that well. They have the ability to win. How have you seen the race, Nick?
Pretty much make it a three-peat, really. I thought this was tough. You go through them from, top to bottom in saddlecloth order, and you look at their last start, finishing position even, and they're all 9, 0, 7. There's not many horses going very well. I'm going to make a case for 2 at double figure odds. The first one's Art's Object for Kurt Goldman and Ange Jones. She's 50, 60 to 1. She'll probably start longer on the exchange. I thought she was good at Scone on Saturday in that dark, the Dark Jewel behind Melody again, and Ridden in Code. Like, I think either of those horses would be, relatively hard in the market in a race like this that are going well, especially Ridden in Code. So she's third up. She gets the mile. She's always races well at Doomben. She's one that I could entertain at a big price. The other one is John Dan's mare Adiella for Nikita Berryman on board. Like, she's just going really well. She won 2 back this track over 13.50, and then rattled home behind Floozy, who's airborne at the Gold Coast the other day. So 2 horses there at big odds, but hard to get too keen on anything. Yeah,
Telesifal has the ratings to win this throughout her career.
J-Mac
on probably could see why Telesifal's in the market. Just a tricky race. Like, Roots at her best would annihilate these, but she hasn't shown up for a little while. Vivier is hard in the market, but couldn't win a Tamworth Cup 2 starts ago, and has won 2 from 20 and goes around favourite. So it's one of those races, very tricky race. Anything to add at all, Trent?
No, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of form on the fly and trying to find something. I'd very half interested Roots, just if she found her best, but she's pretty much gone, I think. So I don't know. Maybe
market a good guide. Oh, if there's market support for Roots, you could definitely entertain.
Yeah. Even if she's just completely out the gate and you get like hundreds on Betfair or something, and $5 because at her best, I think she's close to the best horse in the race, but it's been a long time. So no, I'm happy to leave this one alone.
Stay ahead of the game with the most up-to-date betting insights, track conditions and bias, scratchings, late market moves, and more. When it comes to betting, having the most up-to-date information can make all the difference. That's why we've introduced Betfair's Late Mail, the most informed tipping service on the market. Delivered by pros like John Walter, Glenn Ingram, Sean Byrne, and Bella Anderson, Late Mail provides expert insights closer to the jump, helping you adjust your strategy with the latest information and data at your fingertips. Late Mail is exclusive in the Betfair app, so simply open the app, follow Late Mail tipsters, and enable notifications to be ready when our pros send in their late bets. Stay informed, stay ahead, bet smarter with Late Mail. Speaking of big odds, just a layback list quickly, and the top 3 highest Betfair starting price winners of May. Just want to point you out to this day in May. On the 1st of May at Wagga, there were 2 back-to-back horses that paid over $200. I don't think I've seen that before. 2 $200 winners, race 3 and race 4. Race 3 saw number 19, Master Patrick. If your name's Patrick and you had $10 on this, paid $213 at Betfair starting price. And then the double, running double, number 2 in race 4, New York Missile, paid a whopping $250 on Betfair. Incredible prices there. And another one was Highly Lethal at Harrower on the 6th of May, paid a huge price at $210. So we've seen a few big odds winners over $200 this month. That is the layback list just quickly. But one thing I wanted to, before we get into the Group 1 and the Roses, the Group 2 there as well, I just wanted to ask you guys what you're making of the markets at the moment. We've seen TAB pull back and not put up fixed odds markets, and it's having a really interesting impact on the industry. There's been a lot of social media chat about this, Nick. What are you making of odds going up on race morning these days for the provincial and country races?
Yeah, we sort of touched on it last week when it was a bit fresh, and like that it had that content side of things made it difficult. But from a betting point of view, I love it. You get a few extra hours to do your form. You don't have to worry about those snipers knocking off early prices as soon as markets go up, and all the corporates are going up around the same time and at the same time in the morning around that 9 o'clock mark. So you can get on. I'm a fan, and we were talking off air, and I saw you tweeted earlier in the week, Tommy, like you guys went up 119% on Rocky markets on Tuesday, and those sort of odds were bang on what the corporates went up the next morning, and you could get plenty on if you wanted to. So it's good to see sort of someone out there having a crack. Hopefully we see a bit more of it, but yeah, I'm all for them going up race morning.
What we want to see is a world where Betfair on race mornings and the night before is actually dictating and setting the market. So instead of the snipers getting $50 on in the market and the horses trimming and halving in price in 2 seconds at the WSPs or the bookmakers, hopefully we see Betfair driving the market and guiding potentially what the bookmakers go up in on race morning. What do you make of it all, Trent?
Yeah, I think the longer that the Betfair market is the Betfair market we all should know is that for the last half hour in betting is the best betting that you can get and the best percentages that you can get. The longer that the Betfair market has the best percentages, the better off for the game I think it is. The longer the free market is the one dictating it, I think the better odds you're going to get throughout. And the other thing as well with corporates going up later as well, you avoid so many deductions, which is just, it's so annoying, especially because they're not standardized across the board, that they're the most annoying thing especially during winter. You've got horses scratching from wet tracks, even though they know it's a heavy 10 and horses go on a different track. So, happy for it. And the longer Betfair's running the market, the better I think it'll be.
Yeah, good to see at Geelong on Thursday, the day we record this, had $30,000 match before 7:30 a.m. and there were no fixed odds. So if you are looking to get on at these country tracks and waiting for fixed odds, I dare you to go have a look at Betfair and have a bet, put some prices up, ask for some prices, and really good fun and good opportunity for Betfair and punters to get on early. You reminded me of another lay-in then, Trent, when you said trainers scratching off heavy 10 tracks when there's 100 mil forecast in 2 days. They know it's going to be a heavy track. There's no chance of it not being, and they still accept and scratch anyway. Crazy stuff. Anyway, we move on. Doomben, back to Doomben. Race 7, the Group 2 Roses 2,000 metre race. As I mentioned off the top, the Australasian Oaks looks the key form reference here with Benadryl, Polymnia and moving out, coming through that race. That looks a class, the class form in that, but we've got a local that goes pretty well as well, Nick.
Yeah, mate. Fillia, I think she is a bit above average. She's sort of progressed from maiden company to that listed win in the Princess Stakes 3 weeks ago. She went to the front that day. She was strong through the line. She held off for fast finishing Panito, who's gone to the Gold Coast and won that Gold Coast bracelet by a space. Obviously, that was horrid conditions, so sort of a bit of an asterisk on some of those margins, but she still had to go and do that. Like I mentioned, she's 3 weeks between runs. Tick over trial was outstanding, and I don't think there's a whole lot of tempo in this either. So she's drawn 10, but a few of the key chances are drawn even wider than that, and they're sort of more back markers than go forward horses, especially on semi-final day. So I think Fillia can inject a bit of tempo into this and take a bit of running down. I am keen to lay Benadryl. She was very good to me when she won the Australasian Oaks, got on nice and early, and she was a class above. But now she's got to come up here. She's 3 weeks between runs. She's gone from Adelaide back to Melbourne, had that barrier trial. Now she has to come up to Brisbane. She's drawn the car park. She'll get back. This isn't grand final day, so I'm just expecting a fast finishing effort from Benadryl and sort of have that flashing light on her for the Oaks. But yeah, Fillia for me, and we'll take on the toppy.
Trent, did you tip and back Polymnia in that Australasian Oaks? Is that right?
I did, yeah. And while Benadryl was very good, Polymnia had no luck there. I reckon she goes close with a bit of clear running. She just couldn't get out at the right time. So, yeah, the Australasian Oaks is obviously a key reference. It was a low rating rate. I think I've run this before at Racing and Sports, but almost every year the Australasian Oaks is the lowest rating Group 1 race in Australia on our scale. So Benadryl actually regressed her rating slightly from that second in the Vinery to Treasure the Moment, and it's kind of brought her back in line. Like Nick said, this Fillia looks pretty smart. She's run within a pound of what Benadryl did last start. Polymnia is right there again. I couldn't really find too much value in those ones at the pointy end of the market. I've gone a little bit wider, and just with the barriers as well, Polymnia and Benadryl both drawn wide. Maybe a bit of a tweener run as well. Looking to the Oaks, they're probably going to go. Well, they are going to go back, and that's enough to put me off those. So there's two horses at bigger odds I thought could map well and stick on for a bit of a run here. 11 Bella Montagna, former Kiwi horse, came to Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Went to Kembla and just had an easy kill in a maiden because she'd been running in group races in New Zealand, and she won by 4 lengths at $1.40. The time was okay. The splits late were good. I think she can really improve again, although she's been really heavily backed. She's halved in price now, which has kind of taken my confidence, my betting edge away a little bit. So we'll see what we do with her. But the other one's number 12, Dame Commander for Bjorn Baker. I thought she was good beating the older horses last start at Warwick Farm. Again, put up a really strong rating there. Now third up, 2,000 metres, and I think she maps really well. She's maybe the leader or just one pair back, and she's bigger than 20-1. The rating that she ran is only a length to a length and a half off what the kind of Oaks form is against those older horses last start. And I think she can improve again, whereas a horse like Benadryl was probably not going to improve too much deeper into her campaign. So, yeah, Dame Commander is the one I think is still over the odds.
You're very good at these longer distance 3-hour races as well, Trent. So I'll be putting those in the multiples. I'm against Benadryl as well. And Trent, you mentioned the Polymnia race. They started very close in that Australasian Oaks in the betting. And I think their runs was as good as each other. I found them very hard to split. One's $3.50, the other one's $7 or double the price. I think Benadryl should be much closer in betting than Polymnia. And I'm against Benadryl laying her. I can make a case for Polymnia. I just think that gap should be shorter. I've got them both marked much closer to $5 than $3.50 that Benadryl is. The other one of interest for me that I'll be backing and won't be losing if Verona Rose, number 5, wins this race. She ties into a few of these. I think it's the right form. She competed against Benadryl moving out in that Vinery stud. She hasn't had races run to suit at all. She's had some really bad rides by McAvoy. The big concern here is she gets a synthetic hoof filler on first time, but loses McAvoy, gets Williams on, which I think is a big tick the way McAvoy's been riding her. So hopefully can settle a bit closer. She's got a powerful turn of foot, can be in the finish. So it might be another Hamburger, Nick, laying Benagil and playing around with Polymnia and Verona Rose. Hamburger for you too, mate.
Yeah, it will be, mate. Yeah, we'll be laying Benadryl and backing Filia. There are a few sort of. I agree with Trent that like the price for Bella Montana when the markets went up was quite big. She was I think $26-31 some places, and she's trimmed right up. Two at bigger odds that do interest me though. Churchill's Choice I thought was really good in the Queensland Guinea. She had no luck first up. She was hard in the market in both of those races, so to see her $16 back to her own sex now and out to 2,000 meters is a bit fishy. I'm going to be having something small. And big watch on Pleasure Artist. I've backed her in the Oaks. She started $6 in that Gold Coast bracelet the other day. Just detested the conditions, and now she's drawn barrier 6. She's fifth up. I know the form's reading 9900, but she's just had no luck in her first 3, and then she copped that heavy track. So 50-1 about her. I think you've got to be including her in wider exotics, and a big watch on her towards the Oaks as well as she gets out a little bit further.
We haven't found the winner between us. There's something wrong. Unless
there's 9 of them there.
Unless Benagil just wins and we've all ate it and we have egg on our face and we cancel the show. So let's get to the Group 1. The Doomben Cup, 2,000 metres. Very interesting race, and a huge amount of these 8 come through that race in the Gold Coast, the Hollandale, which makes it interesting too because that was running a pretty wet track and there were some huge margins there on the day. It was a bit of a bog, shifty rubbish track, if I say so. So interested to see some turnarounds in form. But Neesham and Snowden team have had a stranglehold in this race in recent years. Obviously, Huerta won in 2023 and 2022, and Neesham either side of that with Boys d'Argent last year and Zaki back in 2001. Speed map, Nick, how have you read the race?
I'd be shocked if Pride of Jenny's not leading, unless she's a bit
handball,
slow away from barrier 1 and gets crossed early. But I don't think that'll happen. So yeah, she'll do her thing, and I'd imagine you're going to have horses like Lindemann. Last year's winner Boys d'Argent will be nice and handy. I think he's a good roughie in the race, and as he tries to go back to back, there's been a couple of multiple winners over the years. Elias, he's going to probably roll forward, you would expect from that outside barrier. Second up here, he'll strip a little bit fitter, and the horse I like, Antino, right at the top, well, he's probably going to be out the back and taking off at the 600 and doing what he does. So it's going to be a great spectacle. I think Antino will be too good, but yeah, interesting to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I almost wanted to lay Antino, just completely different race shape, and we've seen this horse spike in ratings at various times and not really back that up. Obviously, his 2-rack win was outstanding. I know he's raced and raced well on occasions against Pride of Jenny, but just the different tempo here might just get him out of his comfort zone. I went looking for horses that were going to be close enough to Pride of Jenny and not too far off Pride of Jenny, and that was my concern with Antino. And I'm with Elias. I was with Elias in the Hollandale, and they were jumping out of trees to back this horse. It was hammered in betting. It was 9s into about 450 there, halved in price. Money kept coming on race day. So you got a horse that started $4.60, complete forgive, pulled up with a cough, tailed off, beaten 21 lengths. I'd rather that than get beaten 4 and actually run up to a higher level. Just complete excuses. The market said said he'd win and run really well. I'm forgiving that run, and at double the price that he was in the Hollandale, I'm happy to be with him. So I just think he's a bet. I'm not getting carried away, but I just think the price, he's just a bet there. So happy to be with him, more against Antino at the price than with him, but concede he's got to be a strong chance. Trent, how have you read the race?
Yeah, I thought the market support was for Elias was crazy, and that's not the first time that's happened. The market just really has him. Like, he's a good horse, they've seen something. Yeah, he's good, but the market's had him going to, like, he started $3.60 in a Turnbull behind, and he ran well, don't get me wrong, behind Vesicina Buckaroo, but like
Vesicina Buckaroo did have a huge spike there too. That was huge and got beaten by them. So two pretty handy horses.
No,
Trent.
I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just like off. I don't know why they backed him that heavily going into that either, and I couldn't work out whether you know what I mean. Like he kind of ran up to expectations a little bit, but I couldn't work out why they backed him that heavily.
Yep.
And again in Gold Coast, they just backed him off the map, and maybe that opening price was a bit big. Yes, you obviously forgive, but there's so many forgives out of that race that it's tricky to line up. I think I want to be against Pride of Jenny is the thing I'm coming around to, which is so difficult because she's just such a scary horse to be against.
And she's the naught on the roulette because she's just bringing different form.
Yeah.
With all the form coming through the Hollandale. Yeah.
Yeah. But so last start, like the rating's really interesting to work out. So I think a lot of the ratings that are very weight sensitive will have her going up to something not far off her best. And I'm a little bit hesitant to put her up that kind of level.
I'm with you.
The first up win at Caulfield was good, but she got everything in her favour there to run her race, and it was solid without being amazing. Antino, for like you said, he's spiked a few times. He's now put up kind of at our ratings in his last, since that Turek win, he's had 1, 2, 3, 5 starts. He's run to a rating of 124 in 3 of those starts now, in the Turek, the Champions Mile, and then last start at Gold Coast. And that's good enough to win this. He's run it 3 out of 5 times. And I remember going into that Gold Coast meeting, we were on the show, and I said, maybe second up's just not quite the spot for him, but I'd loved him getting to 1,800 metres. I've always thought he's a Caulfield Cup horse. And he'd never really raced past a mile. Well, he clearly relished a stamina test there, and getting to 2,000 metres now is even better. I think he can at least hold that rating. So I think he's clearly the horse to beat. I could easily make a case for Lindemann, Faulkner Park, and Elias, and you could almost kind of chop away at some of them and really get stuck into Pride of Jenny and lay her, because I don't think she's at her very, very best. I think 2,000 metres now that other jockeys have worked out how to beat her is still a little bit of a query for me as well. And barrier 1 as well means she has to be dug up and get out of her comfort zone potentially a little bit as well when you've got Elias coming across and Lindemann right there with her as well, and probably a couple others. So yeah, Antino on top. I think 350 is fair. It's not a huge kind of value play for me, but I think I'm just going to be against Pride of Jenny, and that kind of leaves me that Antino has to be a bet.
Love that. 2 with Antino. I just something small. Elias at the price opened up a silly price. Let's move on to the last race. We're going to cover the Group 3 BRC Sprint, 1,350 metres. I don't know what to make of this race, Trent. It's doesn't look like they're world beaters by any means. There's a couple of nice horses in this, but again, a couple of smart horses up the top that aren't going as well as they once have. How have you read the race?
Yeah, it's a solid field. We've kind of got these horses that are probably looking to sneak into a Stradbroke on the minimum or, something like that. But I think the one that is on the up is War Machine. Really liked what he did last preparation. He kind of went through the grades and won a couple and then ended up in a Golden Eagle where I thought he ran pretty well there. Only beaten 3 lengths. He was 70-1, but I thought he ran better than that. First up, Mornington in the Hariba Stakes should have won. He had no luck at all. He just got held up so badly. And then last start at Caulfield, found a strolling and run race. Tracked the speed and really put a decent margin in them, I thought. 1.3, but there were gaps through the field, and the time's good. The rating is there. He's run to a new peak, and it's really only a couple of pounds off what the best of these have been able to do. He gets a bit of weight off some of them as well, and he's got more upside. So he's ticking a few boxes and draws well, and you get Blake Shin on. So he's ticking a few boxes against a few that might just be completely out of this. And I think he's very clearly the horse to beat against a few. Yeah, like I said that, Yellow Brick, Far Too Easy, Freedom Rally. I'm just not sure if they're going. And I think War Machine is already up to that level and can continue to progress. So I think he's clearly the horse to beat, and 360-ish is fair.
Nick, do you agree?
Yeah, Control C, Control V, boys. Hopefully Trent's bang on the money. I'm sitting on a big Stradbroke ticket on him, so give him strength to sneak into the field and hopefully do the double. But yeah, I love what he did in that spring. He just progressed through the grades nicely. Like Trent mentioned, he ran well in a Golden Eagle, and then bias against him first up at Mornington. The instructors come out, won a stakes race at Scone since. And then he sat on their hammers in a fast run 1400, benchmark 100, second up, and put them to the sword. So I think he maps perfectly. There's good pressure. You're going to have, what's its name? I know a Star. We'll go forward. There's another one that'll inject a bit of speed from out wide. Will Dow. And he's just going to lob fifth, sixth, one off, I would imagine, from barrier 6. And I think it'll be too good.
There you go. Both of you with number 11 War Machine. I just thought he was a bit short with a lot of depth in this race. I'm scared stiff of him, and you made really good cases, so I'm not as confident as I probably was. And I had a quick look last night. I haven't done the race in a huge amount of detail. I want to do it in a bit more detail, but yeah, I just thought War Machine on first glance was a bit short. I know he was unlucky 2 back, but couldn't win at Mornington and gets up against some better class of horses. The stablemate Rise of Dawn I got a big opinion of as well. Went fourth at Doncaster. I know had favours there, setting on an absolute walking speed in Doncaster. But yeah, I think Rise of Dawn's a good horse, and just found it hard to get War Machine in the big field down to that price, but concede he is a chance. Time for best bets before we get into the Hamburger. We'll finish with the Hamburger. Best bets, Nick.
We're going to go to that race that we just spoke about, race 9, number 11 at Doomben, War Machine. I think he's a cracking bet late in the afternoon. Hopefully goes a little bit better than the race 9 best bet last week, Liberty Park. He was off the track and didn't beat a horse home. So we need to change of fortune. And another one I'm interested to see go around in the first, I think it is at Randwick, Regulated Affair for Chris Waller. He's sort of hard in the market in BRC Sires and JJ Atkins. So interesting to see what he does.
Trent, your best bets?
Yeah, War Machine's one of them. I was also, you mentioned Willado, it was $26 something in that BRC sprint. I'm gonna have something on him as well. He was too bad to be true last start. The ratings prior have him in the mix. So yeah, that's kind of that one. But also I think that the best bet of the day, we go back to Sandown, kind of my neck of the woods, and go to the last race 9, number 7, 02 Good. Nice mare for Kevin Duffy. I think it's maybe the only horse he has in the stable, or one of only a couple. Really like the return at Caulfield over 1200. Strongly run race, hit the line really well. She's never missed a place in 9 starts. The rating was pretty much bang on with what she'd been doing up at her peaks last start, where she went through the grades and really suggested that a new peak 1400 meters is incoming. So she can land in the first kind of 6, whereas the main Danger Sunshine in my pocket's drawn 15 is going to be back near last. So yeah, I think O2 Good will improve nicely, gets the map, and I think she can win. So she's $4 or thereabouts. I think that's a good bet.
Is she the mare that she started like hard in the market in like that one of those Country Cup finals?
Yeah, she started $3 and it was on Oaks Day or something, and she was probably a moral beaten, but I was on the winner at 20 to 1, so I was cheering against her. But she's a good horse. She's a good horse.
My best bet, App and Girl, I think is going to be hard to beat. Fresh blood, different form lines. That is race 4, number 7, App and Girl. Laying Benadryl as well as my best lay on the day. Too short for mine. Hamburger for me. App and Girl, laying Cannonball. There we go. That'll do. Your Hamburger. Let's have another fill up, please, Nick.
Yep, let's go to the Roses, mate. We'll back Fillia and we will lay Benadryl. So Doomben at race 7.
Lovely. Trent?
Yeah, I couldn't really nail one down at Doomben, so I'm going to go back to Sandown and say backing O2 Good and laying Sunshine in my pocket. There's $4 and $4.60 for a second favourite, but I think O2 Good gets the favours and will improve.
Love it. Thank you very much, guys. It's been laid back with Betfair. Nick, best of luck up your way for the Group 1 Carnival. Look forward to chatting again. Trent, thank you for joining us, and thank you for listening. This has been Laid Back with Betfair. Hello, Betfair punters. We're excited to introduce a new feature on the Betfair app, Follow Tipsters. This feature will allow you to follow your favourite Betfair experts and receive notifications when their betting strategies go live. By clicking follow and enabling notifications, you'll never miss a tip from pros like Terry Layton, Mitch Lewis, Jackson Oldham and Bella Anderson. All exclusive in the Betfair app, so download and get started.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.